Hi friends, welcome to part 2 of The Miller's Tale. Okay, so when last we left, the carpenter had a lodger named Nick who was a student, and he also had a new wife who was very attractive and playful and childish. Alright, now gentlemen, this gallant Nicholas one day began to romp and make a pass at this young woman in a mood of play, her husband being out down Osney way. Osney is a city in England. So while the husband is out of town, Nick flirts with the wife, which is exactly his biggest fear. Students are sly and giving way to whim. He made a grab and caught her by the quim. A quim is a woman's vagina. And said, "Unless I have my will of you, I'll die of secret love, oh darling do." Then held her haunches hard and gave a cry. Haunches are like the thighs and buttocks. "Oh, love me all at once, or I shall die." Okay, so this Nick is really getting handsy. Nick is grabbing at the wife and saying that he wants her right now. She then does something interesting. She gave a spring and just like a skittish colt, again comparing her with an animal, young animal, boxed in a frame for shoeing and with a jolt, managed in time to wrench her head away and said, "Give over, Nicholas, I say. No, I won't kiss you. Stop. Let me go, or I shall scream and let the neighbors know. Where are your manners? Take away your paws." So she says, "Stop." But the way that they describe it, that she gave a spring like a skittish colt, and she's like wrenching herself away, it's kind of like a playful stop. Like, stop. Like, no. But like, she's not really caring. And we know this because in a little bit we're going to find some more information. Then Nicholas began to plead his cause, and spoke so fair in proffering what he could, that in the end she promised him she would, swearing she'd love him with a solemn promise, to be at disposal by St. Thomas. So St. Thomas is a martyr for Christianity, and so she's basically saying that she will give herself over, giving over her life and her livelihood for some love from him. So clearly when she was like, stop, it was not like, stop. It was like, stop, oh. Okay? When she could spy an opportunity, "My husband is so full of jealousy. Unless you watch your step and hold your breath, I know for certain it will be my death." She says they have to be careful because her husband is very jealous. She said, "So keep it well under your hat." "Oh, never mind about a thing like that," said he. "A scholar doesn't have to stir his wits so much to trick a carpenter." So he is saying that a scholar is smarter than a carpenter. And so he doesn't even have to work that hard to outwit him. And so they both agreed to it, and swore to watch their chance, as I have said before. When things were settled thus as they thought fit, and Nicholas had stroked her loins a bit, and kissed her sweetly, he took down his harp and played away a merry tune and sharp. So they make out, and he plays her music. So that wooing happened very quickly. It happened later that she went off to church, like you do after you cheat on your husband. This worthy wife one holiday to search her conscience and to do the works of Christ. She put her work aside and she enticed the color to her face to make her mark. Her forehead shone. So she is going to church, but she's making sure that she looks pretty, because that's where everyone can see you. There was a parish clerk. Remember what a parish was? That's the head of the governing church area. So there was a parish clerk, and a clerk is like someone who does paperwork, serving the church, whose name was Absalom. That's this parish clerk's name. His hair was all in golden curls. That's pretty. And shone just like a fan, it strutted outward, starting to left and right from an accomplished parting. Ruddy his face, red, his eyes as gray as goose, his shoes cut out in tracery as in use. So tracery is like this, okay, I'm going to draw a really terrible shoe, but this is my shoe. So he has shoes, that's a shoe. But it has all these like cutouts and fancy things so that you can see that it's like not your ordinary shoe. It's like a fancy pants shoe. So clearly, what is Absalom teaching us about himself? That he likes to be looked at too. Looks matter. He has pretty hair. He has a red little face. He has fancy pants shoes. As in use, in old St. Paul's, the hose upon his feet showed scarlet through. Again, we have some red, which is fancier. And all his clothes were neat and proper. And a jacket of light blue, flounced at the waist. So he has like a little extra, this is a jacket. Oh, look at my drawing. It's so lovely. Flounces were very in because it's extra fabric, so it means that you had extra money, right? So these are like little flounces. Yeah, totally. At the waist, and tagged with laces too, he went and wore a surplice. A surplice is a robe in the church. Just as gay and white as any blossom on the spray. God bless your soul, he was a merry knave. So he's very fancy and showy. He knew how to let blood cut hair and shave. Ooh. He drew and draw up legal deeds. Ooh. At other whiles. He used to dance. Ooh. In 20 different styles. After the current school at Oxford, though, casting his legs about him to and fro. He played a 2-stringed fiddle. Ooh. Did it proud and sang a high falsetto, rather loud. He was just as good on guitar. All right, so we have lots of stuff that he does. He's the jack of all trades. First of all, he is a clerk for the church, so he knows how to read and write. He also knows how to let blood cut hair and shave. If you'll remember from the medicine presentations, the barbers were like the doctors because they had the sharpest knives, and basically all they ever did was bleed people. So he was doctoring, but he could also cut hair and shave. He also could draw up legal deeds, so he's knowledgeable. He was good at dancing in 20 different ways. He played a fiddle, he sang falsetto, and he had a guitar that he could play as well. So he is a jack of all trades. He has many talents. Okay. There was no public house in town or bar he didn't visit with his merry face. So he goes to bars a lot. Everyone knows him. If there were saucy barmaids round the place, he was a little squeamish in the matter of farting and satirical in chatter. So even though he likes to go and have a good time, he doesn't like, naughty humor, gross humor. Not a fan of gross humor. So he's a little bit uptight. This Absalom, so jolly in his ways, would bear the censer round on holy days, and cense the parish women. He would cast many a lovelorn look before he passed, especially at this carpenter's young wife. Okay, so a censer, any of my Catholic students know, a censer is that little ball on the end of a chain or cord that they have incense coming out of. They would use, so somebody would walk down the aisles during the service, and they would, spread the censer around, the incense around. Now, this was for two reasons. One was to cleanse, like to bless the air. But the other reason was, if you'll remember from some of the presentations, people didn't bathe frequently because they thought it wasn't necessary. And so there were really, really smelly people. And so then you put a bunch of smelly people in a church, it's just going to get worse. So they also used incense to try and like calm down the stank. So that's one of the things that he would do. But as he's walking along, I mean, he's like, waving this thing around as he's walking down the aisle, and everyone's seated and he's standing up. And so he looks down at all the little pretty ladies, and he has a specific eye for this carpenter's young wife. So Absalom likes the wife too. So now we have 3 dudes who all like the wife. Not going to go well. Looking at her would make a happy life. She was so neat, so sweet, so lecherous, sexy. And I dare say if she had been a mouse, again comparing her to an animal, and he a cat, she'd have been pounced upon. So Absalom, wants to catch her. Getting quite exciting. In taking the collection, Absalom would find his heart was set in such a whirl. Of love he would take nothing from a girl. For courtesy he said it wasn't right. That evening when the moon was shining bright, he ups with his guitar and off he tours, on the lookout for any paramours. Remember, paramours are lovers. Larky and amorous, away he strode until he reached the carpenter's abode. And a little after cockcrow, when does the cock crow? It crows in the morning, so very early in the morning, took his stand beside the casement window close at hand. It was set low upon the cottage face, and started singing softly and with grace. Now, dearest lady, if thy pleasure be in thoughts of love, think tenderly of me. Ho-de-do. So, Absalom goes to the carpenter's house and plays a song below the window for the wife. How stupid is he? He doesn't know if the carpenter is there or not, and in fact, he is there because he's an idiot. Absalom is not the brightest. He might be handy, but he's not very smart. On his guitar he plucked a tuneful string. This carpenter awoke and heard him sing. The carpenter is there. And turned to his wife, said, Allison. Oh, we got the wife's name. Wife, do you hear him? There goes Absalom chanting away under our chamber wall. And yes, she said, yes, John, God knows I hear it all. If she thought more of it, she didn't tell. Okay, so we also get the carpenter's name. Okay, so they hear him and they just dismiss him. So what does that tell us about Absalom and what people think of him? He's forgettable. Or at least not one to be concerned about. So that's interesting. So things went on. What's better than all's well. From day to day, this jolly Absalom, wooing away, became quite woebegone. Woebegone means really depressed. He lay awake all night and all the day, combed his thick locks and tried to pass for gay, wooed her by go-between and wooed by proxy, swore to be page and servant to his doxy. Okay, so a proxy is someone who is a go-between. It'd be like when you guys were in middle school, or maybe even now, where you'd be like, would you go find out if so-and-so likes me? I mean, if they like me, then I like them, but I'm not going to say like that I like them, but like maybe go and find out. And so you'd ask your best friend to go and find out. That's what a proxy is. So he's using people to go in between her and him to see if there's a chance. And his doxy is a lover. So he's hoping to be her lover. Trilled and roulade means sing, like a nightingale, sent her sweet wine and mead, spicy ale, and wafers piping hot in jars of honey, And as she lived in town, he offered money. For there are some a money bag provokes, and some are won by kindness, some by strokes. Okay, so he does a number of things. He gets others to talk to her, messengers, gives her wine and ale, gives her cookies, honey, money, all these things that he keeps sending her way to see if she will be interested in him in the end. And who do we know that she is all got the hots for? Definitely not him. Once, in the hope his talent might engage, he played the part of Herod on the stage. So Herod was a crazy madman who was a Roman king. So he's taken on all these different parts to try and find something that will grab her attention. We'll see if anything works. What was the good? Were he as bold as brass, she was in love with gallant Nicholas, so does not care. However Absalom might blow his horn, his labor won him nothing but her scorn. She looked upon him as her private ape, and held his earnest wooing all a jape. She looks at him like a toy, to entertain her. So she does not care what he's doing. She finds it funny and entertaining. A jape is a joke. There is a proverb, true as you may find, that out of sight is also out of mind. Okay, this saying, out of sight is out of mind. So when you don't see it a lot, then you forget about it, right? So the converse is true. For nigh and sly has the advantage there, and much as Absalom might tear his hair and rage at being seldom in her sight, Nicholas nigh and sly stood in his light. So Nick is always around, and so it's a constant reminder that he's there to be her lover, so she is more focused on him. Now show your paces, Nicholas, you spark, and leave lamenting to the parish clerk. Okay, so it's not going well for Absalom, but it does seem to be going well for Nicholas, except that he hasn't gotten the chance to be totally alone with Allison yet, at least. And so it happened that one Saturday, when the old carpenter was safe away, at Osney, Nicholas and Allison agreed at last in what was to be done. Nicholas was to exercise his wits on her suspicious husband's foolish fits, and if so be the trick worked out all right, then she would sleep with Nicholas all night. So that's their goal, is to have a whole night together. How lovely. For such was his desire and hers as well, and even quicker than it takes to tell, young Nicholas, who simply couldn't wait, went to his room on tiptoe with a plate of food and drink enough to last a day or two, and Allison was told to say, in case her husband asked for Nicholas, that she had no idea where he was, and that she hadn't set eyes on him all day, and thought he must be ill, she couldn't say. And more than once the maid had given a call and shouted, but no answer came at all. Okay, so their plan has started to happen. He took food to his room so that he wouldn't starve to death while this plan is happening. And she, Allison, is supposed to say that he is ill, and that they haven't heard from him all day, in case the husband asks. So that's the premise. So it continued all that Saturday, without a sound from Nicholas, who lay upstairs and ate or slept as pleased him best, till Sunday, when the sun went down to rest. So he hung out there all day, all weekend. This foolish carpenter was lost in wonder at Nicholas, who could have got him under. He said, I can't help thinking, by the mass, things can't be going right with Nicholas. What if he took and died? God guard his ways. A ticklish place the world is nowadays. I saw a corpse this morning borne to Kirk. Kirk is church. That only Monday last I saw at work. So he's saying, like, people die quickly all the time. What if that happened to Nick? Run up, he told the serving lad. Be quick, shout out his door or knock it with a brick. Take a good look and tell me how he fares. The serving boy went sturdily upstairs, stopped at the door, and standing there, the lad shouted away, and hammering like mad, cried, Ho! What's up? Hi! Master Nicolay! How can you lie up there asleep all day? But all for naught, he didn't hear a soul. He found a broken panel with a hole, right at the bottom, useful to the cat, for creeping in by, so he looked through that. And in the end he saw him through the crack. This Nicholas lay gaping on his back. As if he caught a glimpse of the new moon, down went the boy and told his master soon about the state in which he found the man. All right, so Nicholas, I'm going to draw a lovely picture. So Nicholas is laying in bed with his mouth open. That's an open mouth. He's just laying there on the floor, staring up at the ceiling, and that's what the serving person saw. He's just staring. And so he goes down and tells the carpenter, dude, this is what I saw. That's kind of weird. And we're going to see what the carpenter does with that. On hearing this, the carpenter began to cross himself and said, St. Frieswide, bless us, we little know what's coming to distress us. The man has fallen with this here astromy into a fit of lunacy, maybe. Okay, so he's worried that he had a fit because of his studies. Remember, he studies astronomy. I always thought that was how it would go. God has some secrets we shouldn't know. How blessed are the simple, aye, indeed, that only know enough to say their creed. Happened just so with such another student of astronomy, and he was so imprudent, as to stare upwards while he crossed a field, busy foreseeing what the stars revealed. Okay, so he is telling of another person who spent all their time looking up at the sky the whole time, just looking up the whole time, and what should happen but he fell down flat into a marl pit. A marl pit is like a tar pit. So he says, like, this kid was walking along looking at the stars, too focused on that instead of the earth that's in front of him, and he fell into a tar pit. And he thinks that that's what you get for wondering about what God is doing and trying to figure it out. So he's worried that that's what's going to happen with Nick. He didn't foresee that. But by the saints, we've reached a sorry pass. I can't help worrying for Nicholas. He shall be scolded for his studying, if I know how to scold by Christ the King. Get me a staff to prise against the floor. Robin, you put your shoulder to the door. We'll shake the study out of him, I guess. So they're going to break in to a room to save Nick. The pair of them began to heave and press against the door. Happened the lad was strong, and so it didn't take them very long. To heave it off its hinges, down it came. Still as a stone lay Nicholas, with the same expression, gaping upwards into air. The carpenter supposed it was despair, and caught him by the shoulders mightily, shook him and shouted with asperity, What, Nicholas? Hey, look down! Is that a fashion to act? Wake up and think upon Christ's passion. I sign you with the cross from elves and sprites. And he began the spell for use at nights, in all four corners of the room and out, across the threshold too, and round about. Jesu Christ, and Benedict sainted, bless this house from creature tainted. Drive away, nigh hags, white paternoster. Where did you go, St. Peter's saucer? Okay, so here the carpenter, he is using prayer to try and save him. He thinks that he is possessed. He is exorcising the demons. And in the end, the dandy Nicholas began to sigh, and must it come to pass? So now this is Nicholas talking. He said, must all the world be cast away? The carpenter replied, what's that you say? Put trust in God as we do, working men. Nicholas answered, fetch some liquor then, and afterwards in strictest secrecy I'll speak of something touching you and me. But not another soul must know that's plain. Okay, so he says, I saw something. I have a secret. Go get some wine, and I'll tell you. But it's going to be a secret between us. This carpenter went down and came again, bringing some powerful ale, a largish quart. When each had had his share of this support, young Nicholas got up and shut the door, and sitting down beside him on the floor, said to the carpenter, now, John, my dear, my excellent host, swear on your honor here, not to repeat a syllable, I say. For here are Christ's intentions, to betray, which to a soul puts you among the lost, and vengeance, for it is a bitter cost, shall fall upon you. You'll be driven mad. Okay, so he says, promise not to tell anybody, and I will save you. Okay. Christ and his holy blood forbid it, lad. The silly fellow answered, I'm no blab, though I should say it, I'm not given to gab. Say what you like, for I shall never tell, man, woman, or child, by him that harrowed hell. So he says, I'll never tell anybody, you just tell me what's going on. Now, John, said Nicholas, believe you me, I have found out by my astrology, so he used the stars to find this out, that Monday next, a quarter way through the night, rain is to fall in torrents such a scud, it will be twice as bad as Noah's flood. This world, he said, is just about an hour, shall all be drowned in such a hideous shower, and all of mankind with total loss of life. Okay, so Nick says a flood is coming worse than Noah's, and everyone will die. That's not good. The carpenter exclaimed, alas, my wife, my little Allison, is she to drown? And in his grief he very near fell down. Is there no remedy, he said, for this? Thanks be to God, said Nicholas. There is, if you will do exactly what I say, and don't start thinking up some other way. In wise old Solomon you'll find the verse, who takes advice shall never fare the worse. So he has an idea, do exactly what he says, and you will survive. And so, if good advice is to prevail, I undertake with neither mast nor sail, to save her yet, and save myself and you. So, we're going to say 3 people will get saved. Haven't you heard how Noah was saved too? Okay, how was Noah saved? He built the ark, right? So, what's he going to have the carpenter do? That's right, build an ark. I like pretending to have conversations with you. When God forewarned him and his sons and daughters that all the world should sink beneath the waters. Yes, said the carpenter, a long time back. Haven't you heard, said Nicholas, what a black business it was when Noah tried to whip his wife who wouldn't come on board the ship? He'd have been better pleased, I'll undertake, with all that weather just about to break, if she had a vessel of her own. Now, what are we to do? We can't postpone the thing. It's coming soon. As I was saying, it calls for haste, not preaching or delaying. All right, so he says that when they had the flood before, Noah had to whip his wife to get her into the ship because she didn't think it was a great idea. And so he said it would have been better if she had had a vessel of her own. So what is he going to want the carpenter to do? We will find out. I want you now at once to hurry off and fetch a shallow tub or kneading trough for each of us. But see that they are large, and such as we can float in like a barge. And have them loaded with sufficient victuals, which is food. To last a day we only need a little. The waters will abate and flow away around 9 o'clock upon the following day. Okay, so he says get 3 boats with food that we will float in, and we will survive. Robin the lad mayn't, that's their servant, know of this poor knave, nor Jill the maid. Those two I cannot save. Don't ask me why, and even if you do, I can't disclose God's secret thoughts to you. You should be satisfied, unless you're mad, to find as great a grace as Noah had. And I shall save your wife, you needn't doubt it. Now off you go, and hurry up about it. So go get stuff. Okay, so Nicholas has set this situation in motion where they're going to be sitting in 3 little boats waiting for a flood to happen. What's going to happen next? I guess you'll just have to tune in and wait and see.